Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Urías fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Walk the ball. Let's Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Daniel Starkand. And look, there's been all bad news for the Dodgers of late. A little bit of good news today. NL Cy Young Award finalists were announced, and Julio Urías, unsurprisingly, named one of the three, Sandy Alcantara and Max Fried, the other two guys in this final grouping. Not something unexpected. We're not expecting Julio to really win this award. Alcantara, we think, is going to win going away, but exciting for Julio to kind of be recognized. For a while, he's felt like an underrated player. It feels like he's starting to get his due.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like he's gone under the radar for years now. He's consistently been really good, and this is kind of the first. Even this year, like he did not make the All-Star team. That just goes to show you how overlooked he is. Led the league in ERA. You know, that's got to count for something. I know Alcantara had a lot more innings, and that's why he's going to, win the award, and rightfully so. But as far as, looking at the second spot, I think it's Julio's to lose.
Yeah, led the league in ERA, as you said, 2.16. That was 0.12 better than Alcantara, 3.32 ahead of Fried. Julio's expected ERA, which I find to be a really helpful number. He was third, but that was 2 spots ahead of Alcantara, 1 spot ahead of Fried. The StatCast stuff is really good. That's built into the expected ERA. Has a higher strikeout rate than both of these other guys, but he also has more wins if you love the wins metric. But the case against Julio is really, really simple. Alcantara has essentially the same numbers, marginally worse in the metrics I mentioned, and I mean marginally, and he threw 53 2/3 more innings. That's 10 to 11 extra starts, essentially, that Alcantara threw that Julio did not. 9 even if Julio was averaging 6 innings per start, which he did not. And so, to me, if you can put up similar numbers and throw 9 extra starts on top of it, the value that you're adding for your team, it's a really open and shut case for me. Again, I think Julio is clearly in second. I will be surprised and disappointed if he doesn't finish second, but there's no real case. I mean, are you expecting a huge gap between Alcantara and Julio when the votes come in?
I think it'll be a sizable gap just because of the innings and a couple things. I think when it comes to innings, I think there's a difference between 50 more innings, like you said, and like 10 more innings. Like I think Fried pitched 10 more innings than Julio. I do not think that should be held against Julio. Like that's a very, very small difference there as far as innings go. But when it's 50 innings and like you said, all the numbers are pretty similar, I think that's just too much to overlook. And honestly, it's not really Julio's fault. Like I think he kind of got screwed throughout the course of the season. I think the fact that the Dodgers were so good, the fact that they knew like other injuries, they knew they needed Julio healthy. They took him out early of a lot of starts that he easily could have kept going. Like he probably could have had 20 more innings or so, which doesn't make up the gap with Alcantara, but I think would have made it a little closer. So I think it's not necessarily his fault. Like it's not like he was just done after 5 innings every start. That wasn't the case a lot of the time. So it's unfortunate. I also agree with the Dodgers' strategy of doing that. Like he was the guy they simply could not afford to lose this year. So I agree with that. It's just when award season comes around and we're talking about this stuff in the innings difference, that's where it comes back to bite them.
And you have to evaluate. It's not like you can like make the case for Julio and say, well, he was on the dot. It's like, okay, that's great. But like at the end of the day, guys deserve more credit if they pitched more. You don't get to say, well, Julio would have been better or would have done this because he didn't do it. I agree with you on Fried. 10 1/3, I think, is the innings gap. The argument for Fried over Julio is if you like FIP and it's if you like wins above replacement on the pitching side. I like expected ERA better than FIP, and I don't love pitching WAR. I think it's just kind of all over the place. But that would be the case. And so if you wanted to go for Fried, but I've got Alcantara 1, Urías 2, Fried 3rd. It sounds like you've got the same. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Excited for Julio that he's finally getting some recognition, even if it isn't going to result in a Cy Young victory this year. That's Daniel Starkand. My name's Jeff Spiegel. As always, this is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. We appreciate you joining us, and go Dodgers.